Welcome to the Online Trainer Show, where we help fitness and nutrition pros take better care of their clients and build profitable businesses. I'm Jonathan Goodman, and as always, I'm joined by Amber Reynolds. We're happy you're here. Let's start the show. Hey, Jonathan Goodman here, and we've got a special episode today where Alex, Cartmill, and Amber are going to be talking about how to set up your social media profile for success. Alex and Amber have worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of students in the Online Trainer Academy, doing social media assessments, working with them one-on-one, making sure that their accounts are set up properly, making sure that all of their content is congruent to how their account is set up. And they've noticed a lot of things about what makes trainers successful and what actually leads to a lot of trainers being frustrated and wasting their time quite a bit with social media. So I can't wait to hear from them today, and I hope that you love it.
All right. So today, Alex Cartmill's joining us. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you're not unfamiliar with Alex. He's our head of product at the Personal Training Development Center. He's been with us for ever. He built the original building of the Online Trainer Academy. So if you've gotten to enjoy the Academy, you have him to thank for quite a bit of it. So thanks for coming back in. You know, I always love having you come on the podcast.
Well, thanks, Amber. Super, super good to be back with you. I feel like you've been here forever too, and we're kind of like the dynamic duo, because it seems like you're the
4 years.
4 years. I mean, that's a long time. So yeah, no, thanks for having
John
me.
still hasn't fired me yet.
Having me back. What's that?
So John hasn't fired me yet. So
exactly.
Keep on trucking.
Not fired. We're gonna keep moving happily.
Exactly. So one of the things that you and I have been doing we've gotten a ton of these requests lately, is doing social media audits for our students. And so what happens is once they reach chapter 8, where we're talking about how to set up your social media and your new daily routine, we ask them to submit one link to their social media so we can kind of help them set it up in a way that's going to be really conducive to their online business. And we figured this would be a really great topic. There's no visual, but we can still talk about the most important factors to consider on your social media profile. And this will be true regardless of what platform you're on, although you may have to make adjustments depending on the platform, but the gist will still be there.
And it's so interesting you say that, because very early on into these social media audits, I realize I find myself saying more or less the same things. And obviously it's going to be dependent on the person and the platform, and there's going to be specifics that pop up that are going to be per the individual. But from a theme perspective and a principle perspective, oh my gosh, I'm like, it's all the same stuff. And so yes, you're going to have to apply these thoughts to different platforms. And of course, you're going to have self-awareness and know just who you are and who your clients are to take these themes and make it apply to you. But they're really, you know, I hate to say universal, but they're almost universal. These high level boxes that we're encouraging students to check with their social media profiles. I mean, is that something that you find as well with yours, that you're kind of living in a similar space when you're giving these social media reviews and saying similar things, or is that not the case for you?
Yeah, no, I did 3 this morning, and it's all the same stuff. It's just that foundational stuff. And then when you get to a more advanced level, then you can talk about the nuances and stuff. But just the bare bones foundation stuff is the same regardless if it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. It's the same idea. So why don't you kind of start us from the top and what you think they should be looking at when they look at their social media profile?
Yeah. So there's one really, high overarching theme that I think kind of bleeds into a lot of my advice, is that your social media profile, you should be, and this is really the case for a lot of different things, but you should be looking through the lens of your prospects or your clients in terms of how are they going to see your profile. So the very, for instance, if we're going to isolate the bio, you know, so often we see students go with, I'm a CPT, they list their credentials, maybe they list the name of their business, and they list a food company that they're a sponsored athlete for or whatever like that. And in my
supplement, get 10% off.
Yeah, right. And so in my eyes, I'm like, well, you know, other professionals might know what that is. Your clients, maybe they know, at best. And if they do know, they probably don't care as much. I mean, I think it's 100% okay to say you're a certified fitness trainer or you're a personal trainer, you're a coach, whatever it may be. But how you lead with your bio should be what you do for people. Put yourself in the shoes of someone who's coming to your profile to look at it and think, what would they care about? What would I care about if you go to someone else's profile and you're interested in them? And I start with this because obviously this can bleed into a lot of different things on your profile, but that lens is so vital. It's yes, your profile is for you. Your social media systems are to highlight you as a professional, but we're in a service-based industry where we're trying to build businesses and get clients. It has to be for them, and you absolutely want to highlight your authenticity, which I know we'll chat about a little bit because I know we're both super big into that. But the overarching highest priority lens has to be, how is this coming across to my clients, and would they care about this if they read this? It's cool to me, but is there any kind of takeaway for them? And that can manifest in so many different ways. It can manifest in your content and your images and your call to actions and all the other pieces that we often critique. But I find that super high level lens is kind of the foundation for a lot, in my opinion.
Yep. So what I like to tell students is you have about 3 seconds.
Right.
If they can't figure out what you do and for who within 3 seconds of looking at your profile, we've lost. People, especially on mobile, are just not fully present. And so you have maybe 3 seconds. So if you make them think too hard because you're using language that they don't understand, you've kind of done yourself a little bit of a disservice.
For sure. I usually say 5 to 10, but I actually think 3 is more accurate because I'm probably...
Maybe that's just my attention span, which is really possible.
You have high standards, okay? No, but
yeah, I know.
You're 100% right, because the other thing I say to students, and this is kind of my second priority lens to some degree, is like, there's 2 ways that I look at a profile. One is, what's someone new going to think, to your point? They find your profile via hashtag, they find your profile because someone else shares your content, and they're like, oh, this piques my interest. I want to see what this person's all about. And so they click on your profile, and I'm going to agree with you. I think it's about 3 seconds, maybe we could say 3 to 5, where what are their eyes immediately going to? And that's how they're going to make this decision of, do I want to hear more from this person? Do I want to let this person into my life? Do I want to follow this person? That happens really quickly. And that is totally different than how are you nurturing your current audience. And so they're 2 completely different lenses to look through. And that's where things like the bio comes in. And what's the general aesthetic of your page? You know, that's the first thing I do after I look at their bio and stuff, is I just, without looking at any content, I just scroll, because I try to think, what do I do when I go to a new profile? Oh, interesting. What are these people about? What's this person about? I look at their bio and I scroll for a second to see what they're about. And then my mind makes a decision, because I come to a conclusion of whether I want to follow them or not after that. And so I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Yeah. And in your bio, I mean, we talk about this in the academy, is your USP, so be clear who it is that you helping with what. I mean, so if you think about, people are putting certified fitness trainer, weight loss coach, versus, I'm going to give my favorite example of a USP. I help recently divorced people build their revenge bodies. That is going to grab someone's attention, your USP, versus fitness trainer, weight loss coach, whatever, right? So just to give you a side-by-side, because this is what we see a lot, is that very kind of clinical resume versus something emotional and much more clear and relatable. So
100%. And I think fitness trainer is better than CPT. And I think weight loss is also better than CPT, so there's
100%.
Because again, you think, if you pull the average person off of the street and you said, what's a fitness trainer? I think they would know what it is. Or if you say, what's a weight loss coach? They would know what it is. And so that's really what's important. I mean, they wouldn't know the specifics. And of course, if you ask a fitness professional, then the answers you get would be super wide. But that's okay. And so I think it's okay to describe yourself in a certain way that your clients will be like, oh, I know what a personal trainer is, or I know what this is. But 100%, a much higher priority than that is, what do you do for people? And the other thing that I find myself saying a ton, and when it comes to the bio, is a lot of people have bio links, which, by the way, I think is great. I mean, I think it's there. If a prospect wants to work with you, it should be obvious to them how they do that. We don't want to be pushing sales all the time. We don't want to be buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. That should not be the bulk of our call to actions or the bulk of our content by any means. But it's stupid to not have your profile set up in some way so that when a prospect or someone who's been following you for a year or a day or 6 years or whatever it may be says, okay, I finally want to work with this person, there should be zero doubt in their mind how they do that and what the first step is that they should take in order to do that. And that's where I see a lot of value in the bio link oftentimes, is you can make that front and center. You can make that obvious. What is this step? Are you taking clients right now? What do you even do for people? And this is kind of, you can say this through your content as well, but I think the bio link is a really good place to do that. And a lot of people do, which I think is great, but a big area of improvement is the language. Back to the language of the bio again, but it's just so important. The language that you use to say, click this link in my bio, makes a big difference. For instance.
And to do what?
Exactly.
Be specific.
Do what? And so people will say, apply for my coaching with like a little down arrow for the link. People don't know what your coaching is. People don't know what they're going to get out of it. That means nothing for people off the bat. Now, it's great to have that there over nothing, because to my first point, it needs to be, people have to know the next step that they take to work with you. But a small language shift, like take your first step to get your revenge body, to use your example, with little, okay, now they're able to rationalize that in their mind. They understand what that means, and they can say, yes, I want to do this thing. I want to get my revenge money. I want to do this. And now they're able to quantify that, to
feel it
in there and visualize. That's what I was looking for, that, as opposed to apply for my coaching. Well,
better than nothing.
Means nothing for a lot of people. And so it's really small shifts like that. I find myself saying a lot because it's super minor, but I think it goes a long way.
I'm really curious, because this isn't something we've ever discussed, and this is a personal pet peeve of mine, but I wonder if you feel the same way, because there's a lot of different takes on this. Link trees or similar products.
Well, what's your take? I have thoughts.
I hate link trees with a passion.
Okay.
So here's my thought, is that we are not good at making choices. And I would rather people to update their link in bio based on their content versus having someone open a link tree and open to 10 different things that they could be doing. And they're all labeled in ways that make no sense for the end user. Because the more choices we give someone, the less likely they are to make a decision. And now we've made them think too hard. So in my opinion, I really hate link trees. There's a way to do them okay, where I won't totally give you crap about it, but I see a lot of them that are like, there's like 10 different things and it makes my head hurt. So yeah, that's my soapbox.
Yeah, no, it's a valid thought. And a lot more thoughts came to me as you were speaking. I have mixed feelings about them as well. Overall, I would probably say no. And I mean, if you're changing your link so many times in your bio, I'd probably ask why. And I'm sure there's definitely situations where it would make sense. I've no doubt. And I've no doubt that there's a situation where, now, from an internal systems perspective for the trainer, it makes sense for sure. But they always strike me as lazy from a consumer perspective, where it's just like, just send me the one that I need. And it's obvious that you always just say link in bio. So I think overall, I'd say they come across as lazy to me. And to your point, which is probably even better than mine, well, 100% better than mine, is if there's any decision fatigue or they don't again, if it's not obvious to them what they have to click on when they click the link tree, they're like, I'm looking for this thing, and I click on the link tree and I got 7 things. Well, now there's a disconnect between expectations and what they actually got. And I think that can totally deter people. So in general, I mean, also because I think it takes 4 seconds to change your bio link, if you need to change that for whatever reason, or if you want to promote an article, you know, great, pop the article link in the bio. Now, because I play devil's advocate in my own mind all the time,
do it.
The other Alex thinks, you know, you make a post and then, oh my God, it's so funny. I just had a counter thought to this point that I haven't even.
I love seeing your brain live just function.
So messed up. What I was going to say was, you say you make a post on Sunday that has a new article in it, and you say link in bio, and then you change your link in bio the next day where, well, okay, that post, if someone sees it the next day, that link won't be in the bio anymore. There's certainly workarounds to that. And my counter thought to that was, well, engagement after one day drastically drops, or a few hours, and you can maybe edit the post at that point when you change your link. So I don't like that point.
Or ask them to DM you, or you can go back and edit the post, something.
100%.
If you're feeling a lot of resistance to us saying this, to make the most out of keeping your link tree, no more than 2. And then think of it like when you go to name it, click here to what, and answer that, and label it as such. You know, click to, you know, apply to get your revenge body. Click here to get a discount on supplements. Like, be really, really painfully clear. Like, it may feel obnoxious to you, but be obnoxiously clear.
It has to match up with your call to action in your content. If you say, I have a new article, click the link in bio to read it, when they click your link tree, it has to say the article on this topic that you said in your content. Like, it has to match up in their mind with what it is. Because I've clicked the link tree so many times where I'm like, you know, they say, click the link to see the results of the study or whatever. And nothing says like results of the study. And I'm like, well, is it in this article? Is it in here? Then I will probably just bail at that point. Because I don't want to click on all this stuff.
Well, all right. So let's shift, because I'm pretty sure we could talk about that all day. So set up your bio, make sure that you're super clear about who it is that you're helping, to what end, and then have a clear call to action. And if you have a link to provide, kudos. So what do you think would be next?
So I think we could probably chat about this for hours, but I think chatting about content, would that be helpful, do you think, to chat about content, or do you want to go more around the structure?
I think there are a few high level things we could do on content.
High level. And again, I mention these because this bleeds through into anything that you do in terms of how you set up your social media. It's a lens to look through. It's not a specific prescription of advice, but something I find myself saying in probably every single social media audit is, there's a lot of high level boxes that I think should be checked with your content. You know, you want to highlight who you are as a professional. You want to pull back the curtain as to what you do with your clients. You want to highlight your work, like how you actually work. There's so many unknowns as to what's it like to actually work with a personal trainer. What's it like to actually get behind the scenes with you and do that? So showcase that. Really celebrate your clients. You know, there's a lot of fun things to do in the professional space. You want to educate, you want to provide value, you want to understand your clients' problems and where they're at, and what type of solutions they're seeking, and you want to post content that resonates with them from a professional standpoint, from an educational standpoint, from a value standpoint. Now, where I think takes that piece to level 500 and separates you from everyone else is, you should be doing this through your own personal experiential lens of your own life. I mean, and for instance, let's take, okay, I want people to eat vegetables. I'm going to make a post about vegetables. The amount of people who would write content about, here's why vegetables are healthy. Here's why a lot of people don't eat vegetables. Here's how you build a habit about, you know, you want to decrease friction to eating vegetables. All these things that they're helpful, but anyone can write that and everyone writes that stuff. But what have your experiences been with eating healthfully and eating vegetables? Or what tactics have you used? How has it made you feel over the course of your life? Why is it important to you? What's your experiences with it? And then why should other people care about it? What should other people take away from it? How can other people learn from your own experiences? One, you pull back the curtain as to who you are as a person. You help people understand who you are, helps you build relationships. Especially if you're vulnerable or you really pull back the curtain, that's going to give permission for other people to do that as well and spark a lot of engagement. And it just shows prospects that who you are a little bit, and it makes you a human and it makes you relatable. I mean, the power of that, I can't overstate. And then it makes your content unique. I mean, no one else has lived your life, literally. And so if you post valuable educational content through that lens, there's an inherent way to be different right there. And it takes no extra creativity, really. It just takes transparency and vulnerability. And so the power of that is just unbelievable to me. And it's a simple, not an easy switch, but a simple switch that I think makes maybe the most difference out of anything that we've spoken about so far in terms of long-term success with social, in terms of building a community, in terms of having people care about you, and taking consistent steps forward in a way that you're really building an audience that's going to stick around and that likes you for you. And I find that people are like, well, I don't want to just talk about myself. I'm like, you're not just talking about yourself. You're looking through the lens of your value. You still want to provide value. You don't just want to talk all about you, but you're doing that through your own experiences. And so it's a fine line, but oh my gosh, just so powerful in my opinion.
I think the difference there, right, is educational versus conversational.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of disconnect is people try to teach at someone versus try to have a conversation with them. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of the direction that you're going there.
For sure. There's a piece of that in there for sure, where you don't want to just, teach at them. You want to engage. It's a community. But so there's absolutely that, but it's also give a little flair to your content. I know I get this question a lot, like, how do I make it different? You make it different by teaching and educating and providing value through your own experiences and doing that simultaneously, which I think if you do that through a conversational tone, all the better. 10 times better.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, the last point I do want to make here too is make sure that you have a call to action occasionally. Even though we have the link in bio or something somewhere, we have to direct attention to A, the fact that we are open for business, B, who we're helping, and then also, hey, you want to work with me. And so we have to provide those opportunities. So occasionally creating a call to action, say, hey, if you are X type of person who wants to Y, comment below or send me a DM or go to link in bio, whatever it is.
100%. And by the way, the majority of your call to actions, in my opinion, and I'd be curious to hear your opinion, but I don't think should be sales call to actions. I think a lot of content should have calls to actions on it. And it could be as simple as, my door is always open if I can ever be of any help, or leave a comment with this, or you're always welcome to send me a DM if I can do this. Or maybe it's a poll where you ask people to answer and send you a message or comment. Or there's so many different calls to actions that you can use to your point to spark engagement and conversation. That doesn't have to be buy my stuff, but you also see the other end of the spectrum where people don't know that they're selling anything. So
it's a healthy mix of both.
Right. Because you definitely don't want people saying like, okay, I want to do this. How do I do this? Because I mean, that's far too much work for a lot of people. There's some people who will do it, but for other people, They make that decision internally, and they would take a step if they knew what it was. So you have to have both. But I think you can go overboard with the sales call to actions if that's
100%.
what you do, or if most of your call to actions are like, I'm currently taking clients, apply here. Then it's like, okay, great. They know what you do, but then now they have a perspective of maybe that's his or her top priority, which isn't helpful.
80-20 rule. Super simple.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Start there and then experiment.
Exactly.
All right. I think that's probably enough for them because that's a lot of information, but that's a really good foundation to kind of get started with. And then I'm sure at one point we'll revisit and do another podcast episode about maybe some of the nuances and deeper thoughts. But thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you back on. It's always so much fun. And any last thoughts before we go?
No, I mean, I hope that was helpful. I mean, I guess the last seed that I'll plant here is don't be afraid to try things out and see if it works. You know, there's a lot of thought behind social medias. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this makes sense. You know, there's really one way to find out. And if you're looking through the lenses and you're checking the high level boxes that we just talked about here, it's really hard to go wrong. So definitely make trial and error your best friend and really double down on what works and do less of what doesn't work and make that a habit. And I think if you combine all those things, awesome. You're on the right path.
Yep. Absolutely. And then if you want a little bit of help, feel free to tag me. If you find me on Facebook, Amber Reynolds, or on the PTG or on Instagram at Glow Mama Fitness, definitely happy to throw in some thoughts to help. So again, Alex, thanks so much for helping, and let's do the next one.
Thanks, Amber. Really appreciate it.